So welcome, my name is Sam Garner and I'm going to talk to you today about the importance of promoting positive well-being in mental health students. So before we start, how I always like to start my speaking and my presentations, because your mental health is very important to me as well. I would like you to turn to the person next to you, pay them a compliment. They're going to say, "Thank you, you're right." Okay, and then they're going to pay you a compliment back and you're going to say, "Thank you, you're right." So if you could just do that now for me, that would be fabulous. Your beard is amazing. Thank you, you're right. Okay. Everybody's smiling. We should always start the day with a compliment. Every morning I wake up and I tell my husband how lucky he is to be married to me, to help his self-esteem and his mental well-being. So I'm an ex-SENCO and I'm also a CBT therapist, and I do a lot in special needs and mental health. And I understand how difficult life can be for special educational needs students, okay? And especially with regard to linking to their mental health. So let's look at some of the statistics that we have. Is that 10% of children and young people from ages 5 to 16 have a diagnosable mental health issue. That's 1 in 10, okay? And SEN students are 6 times more likely to suffer with a mental health issue as well. And 70% of children with autistic spectrum disorder are likely to have a mental health concern at some stage in their life. So why is this? Well, there's a combination of reasons that contribute to these factors, and they are pretty much all external to the student, okay? So MenCap have said that some of these reasons might be is because there's a lot of genetic influence and biological influence that may make them more vulnerable to mental health issues. So having an SEN may be a risk factor in that you are more likely to suffer a mental health issue. What is very likely is that you will have a higher incidence of negative life events. And life for SEN students is very hard. And it's certainly an area that we have to improve on in education, in making life and facilities a lot better for our SEN students. Also, they have access to fewer resources and fewer things that are going to help them. And I actually read a report the other day from the Public Health Organisation that resilience is very much linked to your socioeconomic status. And if you are of a higher socioeconomic status, you are likely to have more resilience because you have more support networks in place. But also what affects our SEN is the impact of other people's attitudes on SEN students. And some of this we definitely have to think about in education. Now, as a SENCO, when I had my role in education, I wasn't the most popular member of staff. Believe it or not, I mean, look at me, I'm pretty fabulous, okay? But I wasn't the most popular member of staff because I was calling people out all the time to ensure that what they were doing in the classroom was supporting all our SEN students, okay? And this was difficult because as SENCO, all of us work in special needs. We like people and we want people to like us. So sometimes being a bit hard is a bit difficult for us. But that was my role, is that I was advocate for the SEN child. And there are some simple basic things we should be doing a lot better in education to make the journey for the SEN child through education a lot better. But let's look at, we're talking about what we can do to support the mental health of our SEN children. And there are 3 common factors underpinning many mental health conditions in everybody, okay? And the number 1 is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is a big issue. It leads to anxiety, it leads to depression, we doubt ourselves, it affects us doing what we do everyday life. So let's think about your self-esteem. Can you imagine 5 days a week you are going to spend 6 hours in an environment where you struggle to do what is asked of you? What is that going to do to your self-esteem? And how much is that going to make you stand out? And then sometimes because you stand out, you're more socially excluded by other students because we don't want to be with people who stand out. Okay? And so socially, because friendships are a massive factor in to do with our mental health and our resilience. And SEN children, sometimes the provisions that we put in place to support them in class impacts their social interaction with other students. So that affects their mental health as well and their self-esteem. Another factor is ruminative negative thinking, okay? So if all the time you can't do what is being asked of you, then you will be quite negative in that I can't do anything. What is the point of me doing anything? And you start to believe that it's about you and not the environment that is around you. So we all have negative thinking. Many of you in here will do negative thinking. How many of you go home at the end of a day and list in your head all the things you didn't get done that day? Yeah? And you beat yourself up for it, do you not? And that helps, that's ruminative negative thinking. If you went home and you listed all the things you did get done, you'd feel a lot better, would you not? Okay, so here's just a quick tip for you, for your mental health. You have to go home and say, I got everything done today that was a priority. If it didn't get done, it wasn't a priority. Okay? And you have to use that language for yourself. Just a quick tip to help your mental well-being there as well. But children can get in the mindset where they're in an environment where everything they're asked to do, they can't do. And we don't support them in doing that. So of course it is going to affect their mental health. And then another important factor is social isolation. In adolescence, the friendship groups you are in are the biggest predictor of your resilience, more than family. Okay, so having friends is really, really important to everybody, and be socially included. And SEN children are more likely to be excluded socially, more likely not to be invited to parties, more likely to have difficulty in unstructured situations at break time and lunch times, where most of the social interaction takes place. So we have to look at what can we do to help combat these three issues happening with our SEN students. Now, I've only got half an hour, so this is just a starting point, right? So this is what I want you to do, is start thinking about what we're going to do. Put yourself in their situation and some ideas of where you can start thinking. If you wanted to do further, I've also, ladies and gentlemen, got a book that's just been released, and it's on Amazon, and it's about mental health, and I'm a little bit excited but a little bit wetting my pants as well that it's in black and white, that I don't know what I'm talking about. So the imposter syndrome is up there, so we'll see what happens. But so what can we do to understand? Okay, the first thing we have to do, and we have to do this with anybody dealing with mental health or anybody that we're speaking to, okay? A lot of people think that supporting mental health is having a magic answer that I can say and that I'm going to instantly make you feel better. But what makes people feel better is being heard, being listened to, having their perception and how they're feeling acknowledged, not telling them that they're silly, not telling them that they're wrong, or don't be stupid, there's no need to feel like that. What they are feeling is real. And we have to listen and understand the experience of our SEN students. How many of us, when we have meetings to decide what we're going to do for SEN students, actually ask the SEN students? Because I've been in situations where we all have a meeting about what we're going to do for that student, and then we invite them in to tell them. Why don't we ask them? What help can I give you? What do you need? What would you like me to do? What resources can I provide for you? What is causing you a problem? This is what we have to do, is listen to them, listen to their experiences and acknowledge their experiences and consult with them, okay? No matter what their communication skills, there are ways of consulting and speaking to young people with SEN. We then have to talk to them. Metacognition for any student and for anybody, understanding why we think how we think and how we think how we think. Does that make sense? Why we think how we think and how we think how we think. There's a lot of think words in there, isn't there? Okay, but understanding that is really important to our mental health. We've all heard of growth mindsets, okay, and that's okay to a point. But speaking to SEN students and discussing neurodiversity and that how their brain works, it's not because they're faulty, it's because they're wired differently and their brain is wired differently, but also that they have a lot of strengths. We very much work on the deficit model with young people, where we list and tell them what they can't do. Yeah, I already know that. Thank you. I want to know what you can do. Okay? You need to talk about what my strengths are, because everybody has strengths. And those strengths are the ones that will carry us through life. And we need to. So when I see SEN reports, first box I want to see is, what are the strengths of this student? What are the hopes and aspirations for this student? I don't want to know what they can't do. I want to know what their strengths are, and let's start working for them and getting those students to acknowledge their strengths. And this is where we come in, that the education system currently is set up to only recognise academic achievements. Okay? And we have got sucked into that little bit of a trap. All right, academic achievement is one part of life, and it's certainly not everything. Okay, so we need to ensure that within our school we give all our students the opportunity to be good at something, especially our SEN students, and to acknowledge that and to recognise that and to reward that. Okay, that we all do have strengths. And then linked to that, we have to boost self-esteem. All right, so your self-esteem already had a little boost when we did the compliment thing this morning. Some of you wouldn't have believed it, or you'd have been like, oh yeah, but you know, my hair's a mess today. It's really nice of you to say, but my hair's a mess. But secretly down there, you'd have been like, oh, that was really nice. That was really nice. And it made you smile. So you need to look at what you do to boost self-esteem and what language you use with SEN students. Don't use deficit-based language. Talk about challenges. Talk about learning alternative ways of doing things. Talk about strategies. Get your teachers on board. Ensure that they are working correctly and using the correct language as well with their SEN students. And we then have to look at reducing the barriers for our SEN students. Because SEN is actually not an issue with the child. SEN is an issue in the environment. So we need to look at changing the environment and reducing the barriers for these students. And we should be able to do this because we are the adults. We are the qualified educational professionals. We are the ones that should be able to make the change. So simple things can reduce barriers. Every school should have, and every company should have, a standardized font that is used by everybody in the school, and it should be a dyslexia friendly font. One of the best dyslexia friendly fonts is Comic Sans, right? Which is a bit looked down upon in the font world. It's a bit like the leggings of clothing. It's looked down upon, but it's really comfortable and everybody loves it with the elasticated waist. Okay? But Comic Sans is really good for dyslexic people, so don't be snobby about it. But make sure that your formats are dyslexia friendly, that you have left justified only, not right. Because it looks nice where it's straight with the two lines, but then you've got the spacings different in between the words. Simple things can make a difference. And also something like visual noise. We're obsessed in education where we think that if we have a good display, it means that we're doing good. We're a good teacher. Yeah, okay. but it doesn't, all right? And studies show that children academically achieve more with bare walls than they do with walls with things on. But and we're going to struggle to make that change, all right? Because in our heads, it's like displays are good. That's fine. But simple things you can change. So you will see that this wall is white apart from this screen, right? That makes that screen easy to focus on and easy to concentrate on. If I had hundreds of motivational posters or phonics spelling things or things all around the board, you're laughing because you've got it, haven't you? Yeah, I know. Okay. If I had that, that would make that a lot more complicated to see, would it not? Yeah. Reduce visual noise. Make sure there's nothing around the whiteboard on your screen, just that to look at. Make sure your signs for your toilets have nothing else around it. So the kids can see, yes, that's where the toilets are. And simple directions, reduce visual noise. And also consider the impact of human intervention. The holy grail of SEN support is a teaching assistant, yes? Everybody wants a teaching assistant. The teachers want a teaching assistant with that child. But actually what we need to be promoting is independent working, all right? Because if I had a human being following me all day, that's going to seriously impact with me flirting with a lot of other people. Okay, but it is going to impact with my social interaction with other people. And it is the same for students. And we've got to consider that. I'm going to come on to that in a little bit more in detail in a minute. So, friendship, I've done something to my machine. Oh, I'm all right, I fixed it. I'm so tech savvy, it's crazy. Okay, friendship groups. We spend a lot of time with SEN students thinking about how can I reduce the barriers to their learning. How much time do we spend helping students maintain and gain and maintain friendship groups and strong friendship groups? We don't. Why don't we do that? We need to do that for the importance of mental health. And remember, if you're happier, you will learn more, okay? And we all want to be part of some sort of support group or some sort of social group. So we need to do that. We need to support with friendship skills because some people will struggle with their social interaction, like my first husband. But that's a separate story, okay? So we have to help students make friends and keep friends and help them have problem-solving skills when they have arguments with their friends. But one of the big things that I want you to take from today is the importance of independent learning for SEN children. You are in the most ideal place here today at the Tes Show to look at supporting independent learning of SEN children. There is so much fantastic technology available that we need to start embracing it, okay? Now, unfortunately, most of us here probably need the help of somebody else to program the new telly or the new phone. Is that right? And sometimes that can put us off technology. But independent learning for our SEN students as much as possible, and I know for some students it's not 100% achievable, but we can do a lot better than what we're currently doing. Because our role isn't just to educate them to pass exams. Our role is to prepare them for a successful life. So if I'm putting in support that they cannot then use post-16 or post-18, I have failed them. I have failed in my job to prepare that student for life. And I am putting in more barriers to their life than I am helping them with. And we must consider that. We must look more long-term at the support we're providing and what we're doing in education. So I am a big fan of assistive technology. I love assistive technology, and it doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be ongoing costs, and it doesn't have to be complicated either. Assistive technology is any item or piece of equipment, software program, or product system that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of persons with disabilities. Okay, so it can be a whole range of things. My bra is performing an assistive technology role today, because if it wasn't on, I wouldn't be able to function. Okay, but I don't have disabilities, all right? So I just threw a little humour in there, because humour's really good for mental health situations. But let me ask you a question. What technology did you use to get here today? Who used Google Maps? Yeah, who used the Tube Underground map? Yeah, so pretty much everybody used a piece of technology today, right? How many of you have anxiety when you hand your phone over? Yeah? And yet we want kids to do it. We want kids to work without using their phones or without using technology, because that's the way it's always been and that's what we have to do. Assistive technology is here. Technology is here. Have we got it right how we're managing it at the moment? No. But are we getting better? Yes. Is the answer to ban it? No. What is one of the best pieces of assistive technology for SEN students in a classroom? Their mobile phone. Their mobile phone. Okay? And it's got a wealth of benefits. And social media does not cause mental health issues. Social media is a tool, and how you use it depends on your mental health. So if you have a good mental well-being, you will use social media in a positive way. If you have negative or mental health issue, you are likely to use social media in a negative way. All right? That's just an aside, because I get fed up of everybody blaming social media for everything. It's an easy get-out clause. Okay. So, yeah, we'd like to use more assistive technology in our centres. So what are the barriers to assistive technology? Lack of training and support. Okay, so I do quite a lot of work throughout the year with the scanning pens people. It's a fantastic piece of kit, right? But people come and pick it up, and if they can't use it straight away, they say, well, the kids won't like that. And that's not true. Okay? Don't presume. If I want to know how something works, I ask my kids how it works, because they pick it up a lot better than I do. So don't let our mindset, our negative mindset, be a barrier to helping SEN students and young people moving forward. We also don't put enough assessment and planning and implementation planning into putting it in place. We just think it's going to work automatically, and it doesn't. Everything needs planning and needs implementation and needs follow through. In life and in everything, the general rule of thumb is the more detail you plan something in, the more likely it is to happen. So you need to plan something for it. Funding. Funding is limited. I know funding limiting, but Boris has promised us all millions. So we'll all have loads of money to spend soon, okay? But I know funding is difficult, but we can be a little bit short-termist with our funding. Actually, long-term, a larger spending will save us money in the long run, and we've got to look at that. Time constraints. How many of you here have spare time in your weekly timetable? No. How many of you here have a lunchtime? No. You do. Get out. You're not allowed in here. Okay? It is very difficult, but it's all about, have you heard the upstream and downstream parable? Have you heard that? Okay, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to exaggerate some bits a little bit, because that's what I do. So there was a village called Downstream, and it was by the side of a river. And in this village, they started noticing people floating by, struggling and needing help and needing rescued. So they started running in and pulling out and rescuing those people, and more people came, and so they then bought a lifeboat, and then more people came, so they built a hospital, and they spent £5 million on this whole rescue system, rescuing these people in the river. Okay, and then somebody one day said, well, hang on a minute. Where are these bodies coming from? They said, oh, I don't know actually. Let's go and have a look. So they went and they walked upriver to find the village called Upstream. And Upstream was by the river, but it was on a cliff overlooking the river. And what people were doing were going to the edge of the cliff going, I wonder what's over there, and falling into the river. So they spent 50 quid and put a fence up to stop people falling in. Instead of spending 5 million down there, if you spend more money here, you will have, there's early intervention. We all know earlier intervention saves costs in the long run. Okay, I read a report recently that putting in parenting programs for when children are 0 to 3 to support parents basically saves about £10,000 per child in the long run. So we have to look long term. There is some misuse because they haven't been trained to use it properly. Okay, and it will hinder progress. Some people believe that assistive technology hinders progress. I have two comebacks for this. One is assistive technology has consistently been shown to improve academic progress. And secondly, I've forgotten. What was the second thing? It hinders progress. I'll come back to it, but it was really good. So just write down Sam's point, the second was really good. What was it? Will hinder progress. Oh, that's right. And that's my point. It's really good. Okay. And what it is that some children have reached the level of progress they will reach with that. Because of their neurodiversity, you can do toe by toe another 5 times with them and their reading skills are not going to get any better. So let's put in assistive technology and stop wasting our time flogging a dead horse. Okay. It's like I tried to take up running once, right? Once. It's never going to happen. All right, so I have to acknowledge this and I don't run. Stop constantly expecting progress when they have an SEN that means that they cannot make progress in that area. The number of dyslexic children I see still doing reading intervention programs, even though they are not making progress. Okay, let's stop doing that. Can you imagine what that's doing to their mental health as well? So what are the benefits of using assistive technology? Absolutely shed loads, okay? And you all use assistive technology. You're using your phone now because you can't be asked to write down the slides. And that's fair enough. That's what it's for. It's smart thinking, okay? It reduces barriers. Not having a human being and being able to participate with other students in your class the same can boost your mental health. It has shown that there is increased academic performance time and time again. All these assistive people, technology people here, will have evidence to show that it improves learning. Scanning pens have got many stories to show that it improves progress. It also improves your motivation and confidence. To be able to do something independently is a massive, massive confidence booster, not to rely on other people all the time, okay? It gives the student greater awareness of their limitations so that they can manage them. Yes, I can't do this, but I can do it when I have this. And that's fine. It improves social inclusion, and the big thing is it prepares them for life after school. We are preparing students for life, not just to pass exams. We've got to get out of that mindset. So, I've got some details on the reader pen because they've paid me a little bit of money to be here today. Not enough, obviously, but a little bit of money to be here today. And I work for them because I think it's a really good piece of tool. And they've got evidence that the reader pen really does make a difference. And it's one of a tool, because here's the key. With assistive technology, there's not one magic thing that will fix everything. You all have a variety of tools. You don't do everything on your phone. You use it. I know you, don't I? I've seen you before. Have I seen you before? Yeah. No. You must look like Kate Blanchett or something like that. I think so. But you will all have a wide range of tools that you use. Okay. And look, this is a comment from a student that the difference it made to them. And that's what we're here for, is to make the lives of our students better. That is the whole point of what we're doing. And there's comments here. There is a clear indication that the participants benefited, okay? And they were allowed to use it in home and school, because that's the thing as well. We have to think about providing assistive technology is not about just getting through in school. It is about living their life after school, because school is not the be all and end all of everything. Feels like it sometimes, doesn't it? But it's really not. So what you've got to look at, okay, so I'm coming to the end, ready to take some questions now, but what you need to look at is that, is what you are doing hindering and putting another barrier in place for that SEN student? Is it damaging their confidence? Is it damaging their mental well-being? Is it actually preparing them for life after school? Okay, because they will be using technology when they leave school. So we need to help them to learn it now, because we don't want to put any more barriers in place. That is not our role. Our role is to support them emotionally, academically, and holistically. Okay? Any questions or comments? Is that good or is that not good? No? None at all? I am here, and then I am sitting on the scanning pen stand for a few hours if you want to come and talk to me. I do have my business card. We will make the slides available. Scanning pens do a free 30-day trial for schools as well, if you wanted to try before you buy. And if you wanted a good book on mental health, it's on Amazon, and it's called Building Good Foundations, and it's by me, Samantha Garner. So I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So be kind to yourself, be kind to students, look after your mental well-being, but also remember you are making a positive difference in the lives of these students, and your job is the advocate for these students. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.